So welcome to From the Rubble, my post-apocalyptic Let's Play where I'm trying to, first survive and then find bits of civilization and put it all back together, this time in a better, more meaningful, and hopefully sustainable way. But that being said, we've been at this for a few episodes. I believe this is episode 7. And the problem is this, right? Which is I was lucky. I mean, I was very lucky when this whole thing started. I aside from almost drowning in my stasis chamber, I came to the surface to find that I had spawned on a little island in the middle of a lake in a very hostile world. So in terms of defensive positions, that's pretty awesome. But it's a really tiny little island. So I've been expanding the island to be large enough to do something with. But this has been taking time. This is and we accelerated last time because I actually have a bunch of digging I got to do anyway, and it makes sense, to use the old army model, which is dig a hole here and fill in another hole over there with the dirt you just took out of the first hole. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the digging, using that material to expand upon the island. Now, that's all good. That's all great. But the problem is, this is a really hostile mod pack, right? I threw in all sorts of mods to amp up monsters and make them meaner, and I've talked about that in previous episodes. And by default, those give you some leeway when you first start a world, but the leeway is pretty much gone, and now the clock's running, right? I mean, we're playing post-apocalyptic lottery here. 7, 8. That's not right. So I want to make sure the space down here is going to be 2 chunks by 2 chunks, and I'm basically marking the halfway point on the chunks because I gotta dig a little further. This will be the central shaft going down. But I had it right the first time. 8. Anyway, okay. The problem is I'm running on borrowed time, right? At some point, the badness is going to happen. Now, I've talked about the mods a bunch of times. There's the Celestial something or other, but basically there's phases of the moon with normal Minecraft, but this one also has different moons that have different meanings. And there's a luck moon and a harvest moon, but there's also the blood moon. And the blood moon, if you played Terraria, you have a pretty good idea what'll happen on a blood moon, and you can't go to sleep during the blood moon. So it becomes a siege situation, and if you're going to have a siege situation, you kind of want to have a situation that'll withstand a siege. In other words, you have a safe space for you, and then something that protects you from the bad guys. I don't have that yet. I mean, you saw when I was up top that I've been building that, right? We have a wall around roughly half of my planned compound, and that planned compound, that's not the permanent one. That's just I somewhat arbitrarily chose that. Ooh boy. Oh, hold on. I'm going to need some blocks to block the water. and then it created some source blocks inside. Anyway, I need to clear out. Actually, I'm going to pop in some holes here, just on these sides of the torches, so that when the water does pour in, it'll go for the holes and not the torches, and I don't have to keep placing them. But anyway, so yeah, we're undefended, right? We've been working toward expanding the island. Eventually, this base will be larger than that footprint, but I figured that I think it's 2 by 3 chunks. Might be 2 by 8, 2 by 4, but oh boy, see, this is what I'm talking about. Lots of water. So anyhow, if we can get that space enclosed, I think that's enough space for whatever farming I would need for the short term, and of course any type of tree production, windmill, workshop space, that type of stuff. So that's the plan. That the goal today is to try to get to a point where I can defend that space, and hopefully nothing bad happens in the meantime. Because like I said, the mobs here are much tougher than the vanilla mobs. I mean, they have a tendency to congregate out in the wild, right? And they're attracted by noise and light, and if you get hurt, you spill blood, and they're attracted to that too. So, you know, that's the sense of urgency. Once we have a wall around us, I can calm down a little bit, right? We can start to take it easy. It's kind of like working in the Nether, except I'm working in the overworld, right? You want to build that safe little space from which you can build and exist, and then start venturing outward and, you know, build your little forays into hostile territory. So that's the plan. Now, this my goals beyond that. If I can get the place fortified and filled in, I want to build a windmill so that we could start building some processing and some machinery. Because this place is going to be built largely of concrete, light gray concrete, so I'm going to need sand and gravel, and I'll need to be able to make that. And the cobblestone from which to make the sand and gravel. So I'll need all that. But I also kind of picture this as, you know, a central hub for exploration and finding out what's out there and recovering materials or people and bringing them back, right? So we have the immersive aircraft mod, and there's all sorts of cool aircraft in that'll help us. I think it's the gyrocopter or whatever. It's the one that basically is powered by pedals, right? It's a throwback to Gilligan's Island, but that one will enable you at the cost of food, and a lot of it, but you'll be able to fly around with that thing. It's got, it's not pure vertical takeoff, but it doesn't require much runway, and that would be a very useful tool for exploring. Plus, it seats 2, so as I find survivors, I can pack them up in the craft and bring them back. Hold on, that's a stone brick block, and I didn't place it there, so that means I'm on the edge of a structure of some kind. But I don't know what, I mean, vanilla dungeons are made up of cobblestone. I saw some cobblestone, but stone bricks, that's got to be something else. That's something. Oh. So I think I faintly hear, yeah, I definitely hear kobolds. So if you remember, there was an episode a while back where when I came down into the base, there was a pair of glowing eyes floating mysteriously in there, and it turned out that it was an invisible kobold. And I told you then that I suspect I'm close to a kobold settlement, right? Because that's what would have put him in our neighborhood. Well, turns out I was right. And this is good. This is good for a number of reasons. First of all, kobolds are friendly guys. And we haven't had a village in this series, so I guess maybe I should explain how I work with villages. Okay, so you've probably played Minecraft. That's why you're watching this. You've probably watched many Minecraft Let's Play videos. You know that generally, for most people, a Minecraft village is basically kind of like your local Costco. It's a place you can go in and find all the supplies you need, and take it. From my point of view, you're robbing the people blind, right? Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a different thing, but for a lot of people, they believe villages exist to serve them. And when my current philosophy is I want to build a living, breathing, thriving world. So, you don't generally walk into somebody's house and then take everything is and nail down. But, the key behind that was when, long ago, when I was trying to introduce my kids to Minecraft, and at the time they were like 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. And they're watching me play. And at that time, I hadn't developed this philosophy. So I found a village, and I started robbing them blind. And they're like, Papa, why are you stealing all that stuff from those people? From the mouths of babes. And, it's kind of the same problem with role-playing games in general. In a role-playing game, especially a computer role-playing game, you kill somebody, you take their stuff, right? I mean, that's not how it works in real life. You don't just start whacking people and taking their stuff. Or if you do, you're a criminal, right? They'll come whack you or take you away. And yet, this is the behavior that we find perfectly acceptable in our role-playing scenario. So, yeah, I said, you girls, you're right. And after that, that was the beginning of treating villagers like real people. Now, I'll grant you, they are about as smart as a box of rocks, and they are often about as helpful as a box of rocks, maybe less so, but they're people too. So, anyway, going back to the kobolds, the idea is we'll determine if they need something. We'll supply that need so that then we can go ahead and then, in exchange, take some of the supplies that they have squirreled away. And there's these little pockets of water everywhere. They're just driving me nuts. Anyway, kobolds are, they're underground types, and they usually squirrel away things like ores and gemstones and stuff. But what I'm looking for in particular, and I think there's a high probability of getting from them, is amethyst, right? With the at the very least, we need, I believe we need some amethyst to kick off we'll definitely need some amethyst to kick off our enchantment infuser, right? The first level of the enchantment infuser requires amethyst, and the second level requires netherite, which, obviously I'm not going to get that real soon. But also, I believe amethyst is required for the first level of the storage system. And though we are using refined storage, we're using it in conjunction with storage drawers, and that's what I'm talking about, right? Storage drawers, the main controller is going to require amethyst. Pretty sure. So anyway, so that'll be useful. Plus, they're good guys, right? It's a lonely existence up here, and maybe we could make some space for them because if I just found them, and I'm not even done with my 2x2 central shaft, right, laying out the main footprint. So my base is going to cut right through their base, probably obliterate it. So, like it or not, I think they're going to become part of my clan. And this is going to be a pretty diverse clan because, I added a lot of mods that included a lot of races. Now, some of them hostile, and obviously the hostile ones will not be welcome in our little Shangri-La. But those of peaceful races, of helpful races, well, they're more than welcome to make themselves at home here. And that's cool, right? I mean, I see, and I have built, I see other people and myself build these Minecraft villages, and they're full of villagers, and like I said, they're not a very exciting bunch or useful bunch. But you see, we have an opportunity here to build a multi-ethnic, multi-racial, multi-racial, diverse community, right? Better together type of thing. And if that's woke, well then yes, that's woke. Deal with it. But it's the type of community I like to live in. I'm pretty lucky in that I do live in a community like that, and I think we're really benefiting from it, especially my girls. So very, very proud of them and proud of the people that they've chosen to be friends with. And a lot of parents will take credit for it, and then maybe there is a certain element of parental guidance that goes into it. But in the end, your kids like who they like, and if they chose the wrong people, it's not necessarily a reflection on you. And if they chose the right people, you can take some of the credit, but it is, man, and okay. Man. And if they chose the wrong people, it's not necessarily your fault. Being a parent is no picnic. Not if you actually try to, do it right. Try not to raise an axe murderer or something, and clearly some parents don't bother. How come this isn't? There we go. I think it's the I think it's the cork bond that lets me place blocks around the corner, but didn't seem to be working. There we go. Anyway, so that's the plan. I am excited about the prospects of all of that because I did some playtesting when I was trying to figure out the world seed and the proper mod mix, and this is a very interesting mix of mods, but I have only begun to scratch the surface as far as exploring them and figuring out what they do and stuff. So I am looking forward to that. And of course, I'm a big fan of post-apocalyptic stuff. Now, of course, this is all procedurally generated, semi-random mods. So there's no central lore. I've recently spun up a new series called, it's called Rediscovered, but it's based on the Vintage Story game, and apparently that is a game with a world based on a world with a history. Now, those kobolds, boy, I don't know what they do. They really seem to like these chains with lanterns in the middle of fountains. That's a pretty bizarre combination if you ask me, but oh well. Anyway, so yeah, with this Vintage Story, there is a lore there. There's a story. Apparently you are on some type of post-apocalyptic world. I mean, everything's back to Stone Age, Bronze Age, Middle Ages, but the world was once much more advanced than that. And first of all, that's not a spoiler. That is what it is. Now there could be spoilers. I don't know them yet, but where I'm headed with this, they wouldn't be too much of a spoiler because, you know, the game's been under development for a long time, but I mean, it's been under active development. I mean, they've been making progress all along, and it looks great, it plays great, but it's just they have a fraction of the stuff done that they plan to do, including the lore, right? There's planning to have 8 parts of the lore, and they have 2 parts done. So the lore is only 25% done, which is about how much of the rest of the game is done. And my point in all of that is, even though that is a world that has a rich lore that's definitely going to take you from A to B, it's not there yet. So even if I go playing and I do everything you could possibly do in the game that's available right now, I'm not gonna know the whole story. So, and that's too bad, because I kind of think in that case the lore would be awesome. But going back to here, there probably isn't any lore, right? So, but there is a lot of building to do. You know, I've talked a bit about it, where the Lost Cities mod is where most of the terrain comes from. That's where that ruined cityscape comes from. And just want to make sure it's not night out there yet. But the Lost Cities mod, first of all, it generates all those buildings and stuff not as structures but as terrain, right? So when you go out there, you'll notice that the buildings, the streets, the subways, the freeways, everything is on the chunk system, right? So buildings are typically 16 by 16 or a multiple of that, because they're built on chunks. And so are the roadways. Roadways are 16 by 16. So everything's built on chunks, and while it does make it easy to measure, easy to, what in the world? Am I deep enough? 30. Well, I guess 30 is deep enough for some occasion. Occasional gold. Okay. Now this particular mod mix, we have the thermal series, which kind of goes crazy with the additional ores. Plus we already had all the vanilla ores. Plus we have to create mod, which adds some ores. And then, as you've seen, like the pre-night stuff and some of the others, some of these other mods add ores and gems. So this world is kind of like a dwarf miner's paradise, but I'm not entirely sure all that stuff has value. Again, there's a lot to unpack and explore in this world, and I'm looking forward to that. But because not only am I a builder, I'm a crafter. It is really. It's really too bad Eric passed, because I would have loved to have him on here sometimes as like a guest spot, right? Kind of just because we grew up together, and over the course of 40 plus years we have a lot of stories to tell. But one of the things he would tell you is this weird relationship we had between our play styles and the games we played, right? And this goes back to what I just said about being a crafter. Eric and I, we grew up on the original series of MMOs, right? So we started with Ultima Online. We did Asheron's Call. We did, let's see, what else did we did, of course, WoW. We did a lot of WoW. We did Dark Age of Camelot. Eventually we did EverQuest 2. He liked EverQuest. We didn't do EverQuest. We did EverQuest 2, but then he liked EverQuest 2 so much he went and started EverQuest, which really isn't the same, but he had fun. Anyhow, my point in all that is we usually play together. We usually be part of the same guild, usually form a guild, whatever. And our play styles are such that Eric is the archetype for the completionist. Right? If there's an achievement system, if there's a maximum level, if there's some hot new artifact that was just released, he's the guy who's got to get it as fast as possible. right? And I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm the one who would then turn around and I'd go into a village and I'd look in every single building and every single nook and cranny, and I would make this is especially because a lot of the games didn't have maps. I would build and draw detailed maps. I would keep track of all the different materials. I would build, whole lists of what you can do and what you can find and recipes to make them. I would explore the crafting system in great detail. So much so that usually what I would do is, for any given game, I would try to build a set of characters that included every possible class, every possible race, and every possible crafting system. And that drove him nuts because we'd go through and he'd have the first character at where the maximum level is, say like level 60, and at that point I had like 20 characters that were all level 5 because I was exploring everything. And that is the type of thing I really like in this world, in these mod packs I made, right? I know there's a lot of depth there that clearly I have not even scratched the surface yet, but I will. But again, going back to that whole living, breathing world, which I find more interesting. I mean, it's the original concept of an open world, right? And having that depth of exploration, that depth of discovery, that's part of what makes it living and breathing. Because if you go way back to text adventures, and I don't know, maybe some of you are too young to remember or know about text adventures, but in the earliest computer games, they didn't have graphics, right? There was no graphic representation. You only had a monitor, or sometimes a printer, not even a monitor, and it could only display text. And text adventures, it was all about reading and typing. So they would tell you, hey, you're at the back of a little white house. It's surrounded by forest. And it's all written on the screen, right? It's text. And you'd read that and you're like, okay. And then you would type the command. I go north. I open the door. The early ones didn't even have, say I, or didn't have complete sentences. You use just 2-word commands. Go north, open door, get sack, whatever. Now, where I'm headed with all that is that what would normally happen is there was the text that would describe the room, and then usually on a separate line below it, there would be text that says, you see a paper bag here. Okay, well, here's the thing. The text that describes the room, that's 9 times out of 10, never changes. So that just tells you the room you're in. But when they tell you a separate sentence and says, there's a paper bag here, well, gosh, that means you can do something with the paper bag. That means the paper bag can be moved, it can be taken, and therefore it must be useful. And so in those early games, you basically try to examine as many places you can. You pick up everything you possibly can. If you can't carry it all at once, then you find some place where you can put all your stuff, like a base of operations. But if you can get it, you're going to need it at some point. And so that's an obvious clue, right? But when we're talking about these big open living worlds, there's stuff in the world that has absolutely no use. I mean, poisonous potatoes aside. Or maybe it's not useful for what you want to do, right? I mean, that's the point. The stuff's out there. You figure out if it's of any value to you or not. And of course, then there's the concept of one man's treasure is another man's trash. Or does it go the other way around? It's valid either way, I think. But, yeah, so, you have different schools of thought because, some people, when they play these games, they don't really want to explore. They don't want to discover. They want to be led. They want a curated experience, which is, in my opinion, just like one step away from watching a video, right? Not that there's anything bad about watching videos, of course, but my point was, way back, like in the mid 90s, my parents discovered computer games, my stepdad and my mom. Now this shocked the living bejesus out of me, but what they discovered was Myst, right? And so they just loved Myst. You know, there's nothing to fight, there's none of this role-playing stuff. You know, it's just, you were in a room and there was a puzzle and you had to think your way through it. And so they just loved it. And I said, okay, that's cool. But then that for finding gold this high up, there is a lot of it here. Anyway, so, but what would happen, you know, Myst isn't meant to be, isn't designed for speedruns. And so my parents, being people of, you know, they're not hardcore nerds or techies or anything. So when it comes to that type of puzzle solving, they enjoyed it. But after a while, some of those puzzles really wore down on them. So then they discovered that you can get a hint book. So they get the hint book, and then suddenly they're breezing through Myst at Mach 12 because, you know, instead of spending 20 minutes, an hour on a problem, talking about it amongst themselves, maybe going to bed on it and thinking about it overnight and then taking another shot. No, they spend 5 minutes on it. If they can't figure it out, they look up in the clue book. And so they go breezing through Myst and Myst 2, you know, in no time flat. And I'm like, well, if you're going to do that, you know, you don't need a computer game for that, right? At that point, you're just watching a video. Go watch a video. But for some people, that's really all they want. They want a curated experience. They want, you know, somebody to tell them a story. And maybe they like the illusion of being in control, but in the end, that's really what they're after, is entertain me, you know. Give me the emotional feeling I'm looking for or whatever. I need to get out of here before I drown. Anyway. And those type of people don't do well with an open world, because the open world is, you know, hey, you're here. There's the world. Knock yourself out. Go find something to do. They need a little more push than that, a little more nudge, a little more direction. That's why, of course, a lot of the games had to put, like, you know, markers over the heads of quest givers or quest targets, because, you know, otherwise people wouldn't think about it, right? I mean, and maybe they just don't have the experience to think about it, but I mean, if you're given a quest and say, go talk to the innkeeper, and you go into a small village, well, chances are there's only one building that's an inn. Chances are it's probably the biggest building in town. And if you open the door and you find a bunch of people sitting at tables eating and drinking and a guy behind the bar, pretty sure you found the inn, right? But now there's a lot of people, I looked everywhere for the innkeeper. I don't know where he is. Did you try the big building at the end of the street with the guy behind the bar? Oh, hey, that was him. How did you know? I don't know. Intuition. It's tough. It's tough. You know, there's people who just, they want to be led. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem is when you really need to clean this up. This is a mess. This is what I was talking about, right? There's like 400 different gemstones and metals and anyhow. When you go into a situation where you're going, you want them to give you the curated experience. You want to remove the responsibility for thought and the experience from yourself. Well, you kind of put yourself completely in their hands. Now, sometimes if you find somebody who's a master storyteller and or whatever, oh, that's where you want to be, right? Because they're gonna weave a world and imagery for you, and you know it's gonna be a first-rate experience. If you put yourself in the hands of somebody who's kind of a moron or unimaginative or doesn't have much command of the language you share, the experience is probably going to be suboptimal, right? Instead of Legends of Narnia type of thing, you're going to wardrobe, there's a fantasy world, talking line, blah, blah, blah. Now you're like, yeah, you go to the guy and, there's a fight and some guy tries to take your money. Wow. Gripping fiction. Right? Epic. Okay. So, being able to kind of find your own story, make your, this stuff's, oh, hold on. I screwed up. My irrigation hole here is not in the right spot. I'm off by a block. It looked right until now. So how did it look right then, but doesn't look right now? Okay, that looks right now. Of course, that's apparently what I thought last time. Anyway, so now I have all this material, and I'm gonna try to fill this in. And the reason we fill it in, like I said before, in previous episodes, I could just build a bunch of stuff at the surface and leave this whole bottom area flooded, but then this whole bottom area is going to have to be built out anyway. And as we've already seen, trying to excavate in an area with lots of water rushing in all the time, it's not fun. So that's what I'm doing here. Oh, didn't really see there was a hole down there. Now, in previous episodes up to this point, I was leaving my island and going elsewhere to find material. I was mining it there, bringing it back. Nothing wrong with that per se, but in this case, I don't have to go very far from the base, and I'm going to generate plenty of material as a part of the actual planned base building anyway. So, it's not even a matter of digging some random hole to produce material to build up the island. I'm actually removing material from where I know I definitely won't want it to use it in a place where I definitely know I will need it, at least in the short term. So it works out. It's a win-win situation. I know a lot of people don't believe in those. Well, too bad. There are people who don't believe the Earth's round either. Too bad for them. Just because you don't believe something's true doesn't necessarily mean it isn't. It's interesting. Oh, that's a talk in religion. That's like a third rail. So we won't go there. We won't go there. Anyhow. I might have enough stuff now that I could actually build a calendar. A clock and a calendar would be nice, especially since I'm definitely planning to spend a bit of time underground. So having a clock and knowing when it's nighttime out there would be useful. Try again. Straight on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I was off by 1. Okay. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's the edge of a chunk. This will be the edge of the next chunk. So light. Should get quiet. What happened to all the bird noise and wind and stuff? Huh. I mean, I thought my sound cut out. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, Chief. Okay, so that's the corner of the initial build out of fort base, whatever you want to call it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15? Yeah, okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we should just run to the corner. What lines up to the other wall. Don't even have to count. Do have to build up, apparently. So then if we look here, oh, overshot by 1 already. Right? Okay. No autopsy, no foul. Ooh. Okay. Now we can go ahead and, at the very least, we have the foundation to build the walls. Even if I can't completely fill in the island, I think we have a good chance of boxing it in sooner rather than later. Best case scenario, we can box it in this episode. Historically, based on what we've seen, I don't think that's likely, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, now that I'm not going so far afield for material, and it's not like I'm going far, but you know, 3-minute boat trip, 5-minute boat trip, they add up. Nice. Gonna need more dirt, I think. Well, I know. Now, not only did I start on an island in the middle of this little lake, one side of the lake, this side right here to my right, it's incredibly deep. I mean, crazy deep. Spooky deep. Deep enough that, you know, you don't want to be messing around down there without water breathing potions. So that is something else to keep in mind when it comes time to the to-do list for exploration. But that'll be a while. I mean, at this point, I don't even have armor. So, none. Not a stitch. And, you know, I am accumulating quite a bit of minerals and gemstones, but you know, with the thermal mod, you don't want to go smelting and mixing stuff too soon, because then it's harder to make alloys and stuff after the fact, right? It's much easier to do if they're powders. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't done much smelting, and I am hot and heavy to get some type of like pulverizer or windmill or something to grind it all up. So, yep. I've been lucky because sometimes, you know, drowned will spawn in waters like this. I don't think I've seen any drowned in this world. I keep playing up how dangerous this place is. and speak the devil. I haven't seen many beasties in this world. So I usually like from so we have a pillager. Okay, I don't have armor, so I don't want to give him a bunch of free shots. He's seen me. He's coming in. So we'll hide behind a tree. And when he comes out, to quote Vincini from The Princess Bride, you know, hide around the bend. And when he comes around the corner, his head's in view. Hit it with the rock. No, I'll use my stone sword. Yeah, here, pal. And whoa! What? He's sparkly. Jeez, Louise. Ow! I'm poisoned. Get out of here! Get out of here! And now I see the sparkles. Oh man, that guy, he tricked me. So, okay, he's gonna come around that corner again. And I'm darkness. How many hit points? 72. Uh-oh. So, okay, so, and I'm bleeding like, I need to go down, please. I can't go down. Thank you. Okay. That was close. Okay, so, like I told you, there's mods that make some of my mobs tougher. Make most mobs tougher, but this one makes some mods tougher. It's called, I think, Atomic Strikers Infernal Mobs or something like that. And normally, you could see these guys. They've got the sparkles like you saw there, and then they have some basically superpowers, plus a bunch of hit points. Now, normally, you can see the sparkles up front. So, you know, you see Jojo, the skeleton with sparkles, you know that stay away from Jojo, the skeleton, because he's going to bounce you around like a rubber ball. In this case, I saw a pillager. I didn't see sparkles. Nothing told me that this guy was anything but he seemed to be until I hit him. And then badness ensued. Okay. See, 13, 8, 4... poisoned again. And he messed up my potato field. I mean, ooh. Chainmail helmet. Seriously, you're gonna wear that? Oh, it just reminds me of something my wife would say to my girls. But like I said, I don't have any armor. I have nothing. Well, I didn't, so now I do. It's not particularly stylish. I guess eating potatoes while I'm still poisoned is not great. Okay. You can eat potatoes now. Well, so... Hey, so everything I was telling you about has now finally been justified, right? Telling you how this is a rough place to be. Well, you saw just how rough it can be. Why I need defenses? Well, you just saw exactly why I need defenses. Why I'm in a kind of a rush to get it done now? Well, no time like the present, because these boneheads are already out and about in the neighborhood. Doing a cataclysmic version of Trick or Treat. Ooh, but I survived. I don't know. I chalk it up to luck. Oh. Let's see. Oh, overshot. Wow. My heart's still a little thumping there. That was painful. Emotionally and physically. Eight, 9, 10. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so I guess it's going to be 2 chunks by 4 chunks is the initial size of the ranch, La Hacienda. And this end still open. And get my boat. Oh, I guess I could have just rowed my boat out instead of whacking it with an axe. We're going to go over here to the corner of this little lake. Oh. There they are. Yeah. I dare not go after them. Who knows? Maybe they're sparkly too. I doubt it. Sparkle guys usually don't come in groups. But again, now I'm not as... Before I had no armor. Now I have a chainmail helmet. It doesn't mean I'm ready to take on Diablo just yet. But anyway. Woo, doggy. Hoo doggy. You know, the Infernal Striker, it's gone through a few iterations since I first discovered it. But basically, it'll take an everyday hostile mob and give it superpowers, like you saw. And usually, if you're not busy, you know, trying to survive, if you have time, you could read the name of this guy and get a clue as to what his superpowers are, right? Because usually these mobs are named mobs. They'll have a name, you know, JoJo, the ever living or non-dying or something. Like when I ran into the guy with that title, he basically, you killed him, you got him all the way down to 0, and then his health restored. Now, luckily, it didn't keep restoring, so you know but you did have to kill him twice. And since they have a lot more hit points, that's no joke, right? There's another one I fought once where it screwed up gravity, right? I mean, he could pull me and push me away, and that was pretty obnoxious. But this is the first time I saw one on a pillager. I mean, I run into a lot more skeletons and creepers and zombies than I do pillagers, sure, but this is the first time I ever saw a beefed up pillager. And let me tell you, I don't like it. and it's compounded by the fact too that in the mod mix we have pillagers wear armor. Yay. So that helps. But I did it on purpose. No one to blame but myself. I wanted to, because New Londinium is the biggest build project, and so that's really what that one's about. It's a world where I'm going to build it. There's some stuff to offer, danger and stuff, but there they are again. Your guys are welcome to shoot each other if you like, by all means. Help yourself. But it's a peaceful, kinder, gentler building world. Greifenhorst has dragons that are on a level of Smaug the Magnificent from the Hobbit series, or the Hobbit book. It's not really a series, it's just a single book. But now I haven't really run into those yet, but that's because I set the settings so that they wouldn't spawn. I'd have wouldn't spawn within 10 kilometers of where I started, because I need some space, man. If I'm going to take those things on, I'm gonna need some materials and some access to, get situated before I take on an army of dragons. But this world, I don't have the huge fire-breathing dragons, so that's good. But you can see that there's not a lot of friendly faces here, and the unfriendly faces are really unfriendly. And so, and there's no safe zone, right? I mean, I'm gonna have to carve it out. They're like DoorDash; they will deliver, and I'm not necessarily thrilled with what they bring to the door. So this is I don't know what you would call a hostile world in Latin, right? Terra incognita would be an unrecognized land, a foreign land. Terribilis? I don't know. It would be a terra tarabula. sounds like a spider. There's a tarabula in the house. Go kill it. That's another thing that when my girls were small, if there was a bee anywhere near my kids, my wife would freak out, call out bee, and everybody would run around like chickens with their heads cut off in a panic. Well, kids pick up on that. That's what they learn. So whenever they saw a bee, they'd freak out. But you see, by extension, because for whatever reason, they reacted the same way to spiders, ants, flies, gnats, earthworms, and pretty much any creepy crawly that you would find in the house. Bee, and then they run around in a fire drill. Man, did that drive me nuts. And because invariably it was always, Papa, go kill it, or get rid of it, or do whatever. Seriously? I mean, I could be in the bathroom doing what you do in the bathroom, and it's like I hear a scream. So you do whatever you can to get it all done and rush up, and then what happened? There's a bee, and it's not a bee, it's a housefly in the house just flying around. Right. Okay. So I've become a public health hazard and everything else because there's a fly in the house, and nobody wants to take care of it. Everyone's afraid of it. Now, we eventually got past all that, and we even got to the point where at least one of the girls will take care of spiders, which, boy, was that an uphill battle. But, it took the better part of 10 years to unlearn the behavior they learned in those first few years. Oh, boy. How did I get on that? How did I start on that? I don't know. This is part of the fun of growing old, man. Make new friends every day. Of course, they might be friends you made yesterday, but since you forgot who they were, you make them all over again. I'm not going to have enough for a full double wall. But if I do a single layer of blocks, I should have enough for that. And a single layer from water is as good as a double wall. They won't be able to climb over the wall. Looks kind of goofy, but in this particular case, function over form, right? I don't need it to look awesome. I just need to keep the bad guys out. But it was close. I mean, we got quite a bit done. I mean, I am getting. I've gotten further than I thought I would. Let's just put it that way. I got those guys. You guys get a room or whatever. Or go someplace else. There's a law against loitering around here. So this leftover earth, though, soil, dirt, whatever, I can use over here, and maybe I'll have enough. I'm pretty sure I have enough that we can certainly finish up this set of fields, but maybe we can open up another set of fields. Oh, I was looking at the time. I guess there might be fields that we might not have time to put anything on the fields today. But like I said, yeah, it's good that it's time, because I got further than I thought I would. I got about as far as I would have hoped, right? I mean, it would have been nice to have a double high wall all the way around, but I am, for all intents and purposes, in a complete, I wouldn't call it fort base. I mean, the very basic requirements for defense have been met. So I'm good with that. And I got fish too. It doesn't get any better than that. If you hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, water. Let's irrigate our future fields. Hole will go here. 2, 3, 4 hole. 2, 3, 4 hole, and make sure the holes are lined up with each other this time. I'm just saying, you know. Anyhow, I don't know about you. I like fish. I love all sorts of seafood. I really like fish. My wife's the same way, so that's good. One of the daughters, she started off saying she doesn't like fish, but it turns out she likes it a lot. And then the other daughter, who never said she likes fish and has gone out of her way to prove it at every opportunity she can, she just doesn't like it. And if you don't like fish, I respect that, but you know, I think you're missing out. I mean, if you tried fish and you don't like it, okay, but if you haven't tried it, just try it. I love fish, and the reason I bring this up is I checked the fish trap. There's a bunch of fish, and it brought back memories of a fish fry, right? So we, growing up in Southern California, they have a fish that washes up on beaches in the summer to do their mating thing, called grunion, right? And so the girls will swim up and dig their tails into the sand and lay their eggs, and then they go back to sea, and then the boys will come up and they'll basically just do their business all over the beach, and hopefully, you know, the grunion eggs are fertilized. Now the thing is, they do this in the middle of the night. Luckily, they do it by the light of a full moon or so, and you can go out and catch them, right? And you don't need a fishing pole or nets or anything. Basically, you're out and jump on them and pick them up and put them in a bucket. And you know, there's limits, so you can't wipe out the grunion in a single night. But it is a lot of fun, and then when you get home, you know, it's one of the few positive memories I have of my maternal grandmother. But she showed us how we would basically gut them, and since they're so small, you really don't do much else, right? We just pull the guts and the bones out and chop off the heads, and then basically, you know, you roll it in the flour, you roll it in the egg, and then you got a fried fish, like a fried fish stick practically. It was good. Really fond memories. That tree grew back very quickly. I'm thinking maybe we can. I mean, look how fast it did. So let's finish this field. But I think we can complete the base defenses, which in the way that I originally wanted to finish the base defenses. Right? I didn't think it was going to happen. Looks like it's going to happen. Tree's not too tall, but should give us plenty of wood to finish the wall. Nice. Now, I guess I might make an assumption to my smelting, right? Next episode, let's take a look and see how much iron we got, and if I can smelt 11 iron ingots, that's enough to build the gyrodyne, and I think it's the gyrodyne, and then we can go flying. And in that case, I don't need to build a gate or anything, because I mean, you know, if you build yourself into a box like this, you need to get in and out of the box, and that means a gate or a door, and that means, you know, some complications that I'd prefer not to deal with. I'd much rather just fly over the wall and come back over the wall, right? So We'll see. We'll see. But I now have options that I didn't think I would have. Or I guess I always had those options, but they were seemingly too far in the future to think about. And now the future is now. And I got a fish fry. Woohoo! What I need with the fish is I need carrots, bread, and cabbages. Now, I don't have carrots and I don't have cabbages, but I think I know where I can get both. And if I can get those, I can make a nice fish sandwich. And those are high saturation, good stuff, and that would be particularly useful if I get my pedal flyer. So let's take a look. Oh, not even take a look. Let's just finish this wall. There you go. There we go. I have boxed myself in my own little fortress of solitude, and I'm pretty happy about that. I'm very happy about that. You could even say I'm ecstatic. Oh, now the sound comes on and I hear the bugs, the wind. And I think that'll do it. So, thank you for being here with me through the perils and the victories. This has been a very productive run, and it's all because you were here with me. So thank you for that. Next episode, I have work cut out for me. It's time to move on to phase 2. But until we get to that part, I hope this finds you and yours in good health, good spirits, and perhaps a touch of good fortune. Cheers.